Hi, welcome to Back 40 Auto Works. My name's Jeremy. My friends call me Styles. This is a show about me messing around with old cars with very little knowledge and very little money, like a lot of you. Stumbling and finding my way through it and making lots of mistakes. But that's all part of it. So if you've been watching the channel, and I thank you if you have, we recently picked up a 1995 Ford F-150 to drive every day, as the old wagon is needing parts I can't find right now, and the old Ram is, well, she's more or less toast. The engine's knocking pretty bad, so we're just going to use her for parts. However, once we started driving the Ford every day, it began having problems, missing and stalling, setting off check engine light, stumbling and stuff like that, and running so poor that sometimes it even shifts really hard. Feels like the transmission's coming out of it, but I mean, it's 30 years old, stuff's bound to happen. So I've done a few things. First day I started messing with it, and I realized it had a battery shutoff switch on it that was barely making contact, so I got rid of that. And it had a wire spliced in to the tack signal on the coil that had a Scott's lock on it. Those things are terrible, by the way. And it wasn't making great connections, so we got rid of that. And we found out that the distributor cap was flopping around. Locked that up, and it worked beautiful for 2 days. Absolutely perfect. And then on the third day, of course, it went back to doing what it was doing. So, and I've been Googling and on YouTube like the rest of you, because I need to know what's going on here. And there are a host of reasons that can cause this. One bad EGR valve, bad IAC valve or controller or whatever you call it, switch. Bad connections anywhere, and vacuum lines, leaks. Don't think I have any vacuum leaks. I have messed with the EGR valve a little bit, and I cleaned up the IAC valve, and still not a whole lot better. It'll run beautiful for a day or two and then back to itself. The main one that scares me is, I guess, in the main ECU or computer, the capacitors can go bad, which ultimately means either you change capacitors or you find an ECU. I haven't done that yet. I haven't even checked that yet because, as I said, the problem's intermittent, so I'm thinking that's not the case, but I don't know. But I would expect if capacitors were bad, it would be bad all the time, and it's not. So we went to online and ordered a code reader, especially for Ford. Comes with a nice book. I'm going to try and plug it in and see what happens and see what we can find out. I should mention, for anybody who hasn't used a code reader before, they don't necessarily tell you the whole problem. They just give you an idea where to look, where the computer detects the problem, what area of the system, whatever. And these don't make the code the computer does, so they'll tell you where to start looking. That doesn't necessarily mean change that particular component that says is bad. It means there's a problem in that area. So again, we'll see what we can find out. See if we can find out where to plug this thing in anyway. It's supposed to be down there, that corner. See if we can find it. Alright, that does look like it. There's some dirt in there I'll have to clean out. It's a 2 plug-in connector. They're both there. Clean that out with a pick and see what happens. See if it tells me anything at all. So I know I'm supposed to be making videos about the Buick, which I've said 10,000 times. But this is kind of important. I need to drive this thing every day. So this kind of sort of has to come first. I might be missing a pin in there. This may not work anyway. No, I think we're alright. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And that little fella, he looks alright. So, supposed to plug it in, turn the key on, see what she says. Alright. think it went in the right way. She's on. We'll turn the key on. So key is on. I'm supposed to hit test. I heard some noises, some whirring and stuff like that. She does any kind of a system check. Supposed to. Oh, there's something moving there. So we're doing a key on, engine off test. So there's a code, 116. I don't know if I'm supposed to hold that or see if it throws another one. Another one, let's see. Will she do another one? I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. You realize that, eh? I'll try it again there. See if I'm doing this right or not. It's supposed to prompt the computer to do a test. That's exactly what it did. That might be the only one I'm going to get. Should be a stored memory code. I should not have to do anything else, but we'll find out. We'll shut her off and check the code book. So now I get to check the handy dandy book and see what that code is. Reading. I'm not supposed to have to read anymore. They told me that when I finished high school I wouldn't have to. They're wrong. Anyway, we'll see what it is. I should say that this scan tool is for older Fords, or the OBD1 system they call it, and I think it was like 81 to 95. So I got it off that website. I'm not supposed to mention it starts with A. I'm sure you know where that is. Alright, so we need the 3-digit section here. Code 116, engine coolant temperature higher or lower than expected. So, I'm thinking a bad temperature sensor can affect the way things run. Possibly throw it in limp mode. Make it run lousy and dip and dive and that kind of stuff. Possibly. Or as I said, this is just to get you in that area. Maybe I got a head gasket issue. I hope not. Because I can't check the oil to know. Because she doesn't have a dipstick tube. Ford life. So there's that possibility. There's also the possibility that just the harness or wiring somewhere between the sensor and the ECU is messed up, corroded. Maybe there's a bad ground somewhere. Maybe it is just a bad temperature sensor. But the gauge is reading fine. So something somewhere is amiss. I guess I'm somehow going to figure out how to check that oil. Maybe we'll pop that valve cover, oil cover off and see. Hopefully we don't see any white. So there is no milkshake type residue in the cap. Oil cover, valve cover cap for putting the oil in, whatever you call that. Oil cover, yes. It also does have a leak around the oil pan. And the last time I checked, the oil was quite dark looking. I didn't see any milkshake in that. So we might be okay there. And although you can't see through this phone, I did shine my light down there, and it looks good and dark down there. Dark oil is never good, but it's better than milkshake, you know what I mean? So we'll put that on. I didn't see any coolant in the overflow. So I think we'll check the radiator. Again, I don't know if you can see in there, but there's not much in there. We will try this and see if there's anything in there, if it's low. No, I better get my light. I can hardly see in there. Looks like it might be a bit low. So my coolant is a bit low. The rad is a little better than half full. Nothing in the overflow jug. I'll have to get some coolant, put the right stuff in it, and figure out what's going on there. But it's never rated hot. I never rated cold. I did have a couple of days where I didn't have great heat, but it seemed to come back too. So anyway, guessing game. I guess we'll find out. I feel that's probably more than likely a sensor. I know the truck didn't get driven a whole lot, like a huge regular amount, like it is now. So anyway, we will figure that out. So I do have some Napa Universal antifreeze, a little bit left over. We'll top it up best we can with that. Keep an eye on it for a few days. I'm not going to automatically assume I have a head gasket issue or I'm losing antifreeze. I do feel that's more of a sensor issue. I think she's just plain low. I will of course have to watch for leaks. She's taking half a jug. Could be issues yet. I don't know. Could be in trouble. Guess we got to buy more of that. She's down a little more than I like to see. Let's grab that light. Oh, she's okay. She doesn't need too much more. Probably another third or half a jug will do it. And we don't know. We've only had the truck for a month. That could have been like that. Like a dummy, I didn't check it before I started driving it. Whatever. We'll figure it out. Anyway, as I said, at this point, I'm not going to borrow trouble. It may have nothing to do with head gaskets. Although when I was cleaning the EGR valve, I was spraying some chemical right down in the diaphragm of the EGR valve while it was running. And couldn't figure out why it wasn't burning that off, and realized I was spraying brake cleans that was non-flammable in it. And while it was trying to burn that off, I was getting some white smoke and head gasket smell. But it was gone as soon as it started, so I don't think that's an issue. However, at this point, it doesn't really matter what it is, because financially, this truck absolutely has to stay around for a long time. We'll just have to fix it. And I do know temperature sensors can cause issues. But what bothers me is the heat gauge has never gone too high in the truck, so which really shouldn't bother me. That means all that should be good. You know, we'll top her up with some antifreeze. I'll try and figure out where that sensor is, because I'm not that familiar with Fords. I assume it's in the water pump area, or maybe somewhere undesirable. And then we'll replace it and turn out. I know we should just throw parts of things, but a water temperature sensor or coolant temperature sensor, 30 years old, yeah, she could probably have one. And we'll go from there. Although with it being intermittent, it's probably wiring from that sensor somewhere. You guys will get to help me figure that one out, or watch me figure it out anyway. So if anybody has any ideas, let me know. Thanks for watching. Take care.